The Omni King extrudes the energy and presence of being a very childlike and carefree ruler. Well, it turns out, the Omni King is a pretty childlike and carefree ruler. Hello there, beautiful friends from around the world. I'm your host, Blackenfist, and this is my review of episode 55, however late, of Dragon Ball Super. This episode opens up with Whis, Beerus, and Goku talking about their meeting with the Omni King and what possible implications that could mean, but it's mostly about Goku's manners and, you shouldn't step on the Omni King's toes. It's pretty much very similar to the discussion that King Kai and Goku had when they were going to meet Beerus for the very first time, except it's with the Omni King now. While Bulma is still repairing the time machine, we go back to Universe 10 where we see Zamasu give a brutal fatality to one of the orange aliens. I guess Zamasu's true colors and feelings are starting to show through, and it seems that Gowasu isn't too pleased with his actions. Well, all I could say is that I appreciated Zamasu at least killing somebody in this episode. Beerus, Goku, and Whis meet up on the Supreme Kai's planet because, as we all know, the Supreme Kai has the technique of teleportation, which, this is something that I've wondered in the past, makes me wonder why Whis, an extremely powerful and possibly the most knowledgeable character in all of Dragon Ball, besides a few, doesn't know an instant transmission or a teleportation type technique and has to travel the way he does. It confounds me on why he does that. Maybe he just can't do it. Maybe he can do a lot of things, but that's just one of the things he can't do. Regardless, when they finally get to the Omni King's illustrious palace, they are greeted by another pretty boy attendant. Now this is where I have to comment on character designs. I feel that the character designs in Dragon Ball Super are a bit lazy in this, at least in this instance. It's pretty hard not to notice the parallels between the design of this character to Whis. It seems that these characters share a lot of characteristics that with each other. Now, perhaps they're all part of the same race, and perhaps that's the reason why they share so many characteristics, but I like to think back to, like, for instance, in Z, when we were meeting the other Kais. Sure, they all wore the same clothing, they wore similar clothing, but their designs themselves and how the characters were, and their facial structure, and just the way they were extremely different from one another, and you could definitely tell them apart. With this pretty boy attendant, obviously, he has the basic skin, hair, and eyes of Whis. So, is it lazy character design? Maybe. Is it because they're the same race? Maybe. This all leads up to Goku finally meeting the Omni King, which it turns out the only reason that the Omni King even wanted to meet up with Goku is because he wanted a playmate. No, I'm being serious. That's the only reason, and to me, I feel this is a very disappointing turn of events. The Omni King, of course, conveys a very childish exterior, and it seems that his own character is to be very childish, but I felt that there was no substance to this meeting whatsoever. I have to really start questioning, why is it that the Omni King is so fond of Goku? I mean, sure, we as the audience are very fond of Goku because he's Goku and we've been through him for years and we followed his story, but why is the Omni King so fond of him? I didn't get this at all, and it wasn't even explained in this exchange. The Omni King just has some weird fascination with Goku for no apparent reason. But you know what, guys? I'll tell you the real reason why the Omni King called for Goku. It's because the Omni King needed to give him a plot device. Literally, the Omni King gives Goku some sort of device. It seems to be just a button, and it enables the Omni King to come to Goku's location. Now, of course, this is under the guise that the Omni King wants to play with Goku, and that's why he wants him to have it, but come on, guys. What's the real reason why he's giving him this? Well, the most obvious reason is probably because during the Goku Black fight, maybe Goku or another character is going to push that button, and maybe the Omni King will have some sort of interference. Regardless, even if it's not that, obviously the real reason why the Omni King met up with Goku in this fashion is to give him this device, so that way the Omni King can be injected into the plot sometime during the future. What his role will be is unknown. Maybe he'll play interference in the Black Goku fight, maybe he won't, maybe he'll have some other role. But I really felt the Omni King's intentions were really not well done here because, like I said before, he has an obsession with Goku for no apparent reason. The last scene of the episode is definitely the best scene, and this is the one that I really took the most interest in. Following Zamasu's actions of murdering that alien, Gowasu and Zamasu have a little chat about humans, about mortals, and about how they should be treated. This is really the most deep and interesting conversation, and this is really the only thing that sheds light on Zamasu. Now, in the past, I have said before that I really don't like Zamasu's character and the way it's leading up, but I will say that this did really flesh out his intentions, and I kind of get where he's coming from. Because the Kais give life and wisdom to the lower creatures, Zamasu feels that it is ill-wasted on these mere beings because they're going to be using it in ill-gotten ways. So therefore they should be wiped out, and I guess they shouldn't be enlightened anymore. While Gowasu's stance is a little different, he points out that the gods themselves are not perfect, and they also have to grow, just like the lower beings, and that justice to him is not being completely impervious to evil, but it is evil having somewhat an effect on you, but still going on the path of justice and righteousness, even though evil sometimes interferes, and that goes for both the mortals and the gods. So I really like this exchange, because you could really see where Zamasu's coming from, but you could also see where Gowasu's coming from. And although I still side on the side of Gowasu, and I will say this, I will say that it's not as poorly written as I previously thought, and maybe it'll keep getting better as time goes on and more of Zamasu's character is revealed, but I really did like Zamasu's lines in this. I really did like the way, because at the very least I could understand the place he was coming from, and it didn't just seem like a contrived evil stance like I did before. This episode ends off with Vegeta, Goku, and future Trunks going back to the future, and I guess looking for Black Goku. But anyway, that's where this episode leaves off, and I guess the grand battle will begin in the next episode. Overall, this episode was pretty mediocre in my opinion. I really didn't like the Omni King. I like I said before, I didn't like the Omni King before, and I kind of don't like him anymore. The whole guise of him meeting with Goku was just literally for him to give him that button, and the whole plaything thing was so easily so contrived and out of place in my opinion, because it wasn't even explained. So I really didn't like that part of the episode. The only thing that really saved this episode for me was the ending with Gowasu and Zamasu. But anyway, that's just my opinion. But if you like this episode review, and if you like my videos, please subscribe to the channel, as I'll be bringing you more of these episode reviews, and of course my other Dragon Ball segments. But until next time guys, I'm Blackenfist, and as always, I'm out.